Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Karen. Today I was going to talk a little bit about toxic relationships and my experience with it because my experience was pretty bad. Um, I know I've been easing my way into it and it's just really hard to do at times. So I'm going to read you, there's like a whole thing of pictures about this. So I'll be working on this for a while because I experienced it. And in my recovery and stuff, they did have, um, they might have mentioned it a time or two about toxic relationships, but it was mostly about stopping drugs. So really didn't get into it that much. They just didn't like certain people, and I didn't understand why. I understand it now more. You really can only do one step at a time for real and work on certain things. If you're working on yourself and you're away from toxicity, you don't have that problem, and then you really do believe that you can change humans. And you really have hope in them. And I'll read this to you, and you understand why. And we'll pull cards and see if anybody relates to somebody out there. I'm sure you do. Toxic. This is just one little part I got out of there, and I added some of my own stuff. But toxic relationships and mental health. One study found that toxic relationships can actually worsen anxiety and stress disorders. On the other hand, healthy relationships actually improve these conditions. Like I do have post traumatic stress disorder, and I know why. My baby's dad. I didn't have childhood trauma really. It was an adult trauma, adult abuse. And I can't make it up. I mean, unless you want to count getting stung by a bee in the forehead at 5, I mean, that's traumatizing. Anything to you can be traumatizing. But most of the time when they say childhood trauma, it's abuse in their homes. I don't think mine was really like that. I mean, we was more free. So like when I ran into snake pits and stuff like that, that's not, I mean, it's traumatic, but it's not really nothing compared to what I went through as an adult. But in fact, a 2016 University of Michigan study found that stress and negative relationship quality directly affect the cardiovascular system. And I put a note here, I had blockages and a transient ischemic attack and high cholesterol due to too much stress over time. That these humans here, they really thought it, because it's all correlated with each other, they blamed it on drugs, when in fact it was just being around poisonous, toxic people and no way away from them. Really, when it's your baby's father, and I was forced by the courts to be around that family of abusers, even after having a child protective order. In the long term, and of these factors damage your health and may lead you to develop unhealthy coping behaviors like drinking and emotional eating, which is true. Because when I was the alcoholic, I was with my baby's dad. I drank while being beaten by him, and his parents like covered it up, just like the trauma and things they did with our daughter that I had. It was sick and it's abusive. I mean, there's toxicity, you know, just little white lies and stuff like that, or going behind people's back and just being single and a player and things like that. But not the what I went through is more. It was abuse, flat out. I mean, when you're punched, you break your. He broke my jaw, and I lied and said it was the trunk of the car. He broke my nose. Uh, I either jumped out of a car or he pushed me out. I can't remember. My pelvis was broke, and I had a brain injury from that. He also kicked me down this hill so many times I begged him not to, and that's when I seen the devil in his eyes and they were black. He has ripped me out of the back of my hair right here. A chunk of my hair is missing because I was forced to do prostitution. So when I went to go and try to make my own money, he threw me out by the back of my hair, and that's why it's missing. And that's why I have post-traumatic stress disorder. But when I went to court, I did tell them 5 times. So co-parenting with an abusive human that are toxic is possible, like I said, but not the extent in which I was subject to, me and my child. It was actually unacceptable, really. But because I forgive easily and I'm hopeful, the court really didn't see or hear anymore what I said. At least I did say it 5 times on record about the abuse with my abuser present in that courtroom. And I did talk about the awful trauma that he caused. I really did. It's unacceptable, really. I don't care how much money they wanted to make off of us coming back multiple times. When you're subject to that, what do you expect a person to do? I tried to be sober even. I did everything they said. I had 3 parenting classes on top of it. and then they want to, and then what kills me is because the same woman which is my daughter's grandmother, that's the same woman who almost manipulated me into thinking that it was his baby's mother. When I know for a fact 2 women already in her. She's just really good at lying and getting people to believe her, and they did here too. They know now what kind of person she is. She really is a liar. She sells pills. She did dirty stuff, covered it up for her son, covered it up for the abuse that they do. And my daughter's probably still subject to it, being at that Wendy Spang's house. And I know nobody wants me to really use names. I don't care. If you're going to destroy my life and abuse me and put me back in there multiple times and then expect me to be okay with it, I'm not. Basically, the words I'm saying, my daughter is going to come back and say here in the next 5 years how much worse I had it. Because she's my mini-me. And that's why, no, it don't matter if you have a baby's daddy or not. If they're abusive, they're just flat out abusive. I'm going to just do another video with tarot cards. I'm just going to flat out tell you. Abuse is awful. And if you already arguing and fighting, it doesn't really get better until you separate. If you have to, it's like that love that you let go. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. That's a true statement in a sense, because if you do that and you give yourself time apart from each other to make sure it's not codependency, and on the other hand of it all, without the love present, if you're doing all the work and that man is just sitting there staring at you and wanting to argue and not do anything, you deserve to have somebody that works as much as you in equal give and take. And that's just reality of it. You need equal give and take. And if you don't have that, it's probably toxic. Especially if you share a child, because I did everything. I even paid child support after they stole my kid and lied. And then he never worked. It's just a fact of life. I don't even know what he was made for, to hurt people and teach me huge lessons about abuse and run. And I can feel it in my body when they're a mile within me. I don't think that's something anybody should really have to learn. That kind of discernment, not that far. It is what it is. I hope that you understand you can co-parent. You do not have to be in a relationship. You're better off, like, that song that Miley Cyrus just came out with. You can love yourself better, I promise. I can love myself better. So anyhow, that's a little, my story a little bit on toxic relationships, abuse, and why you don't need it, really. I mean, I'm just like where I work at my other job. For instance, if they're not up, I can immediately tell, because it'll bring me down, and I don't like it there at all. I don't like anything that is negative or bring me down, and it's not like a positive abuse either, or gaslighting. It's just me. I operate in high volume. So if it's negative, I got to go down, then I don't like it. And to keep balance is to keep them up. And no arguments, and just try to get them all to chip in and be an example. And most of the time it works. But there for a while, it took us a long time to get there. So, in other words, if you're around it, it doesn't have to be drugs. If they're just somebody that's not making you happy and they're never there when you need them, especially when you have a child, you don't need them. You can do better. I know you think that you're in love and that you love yourself. You cannot love yourself if you put other people first. I thought that was love, and you cannot do it. I've been trying to do that, and it never really did. It got me anywhere. In the long term, it did. After like I said, I let it go. I had to let it go. And that's just what I did. And in reality, they're starting to wake up and see that maybe they're the problem too. That's really the only way I can explain to enlighten somebody about their behavior is completely ghosting them. 100%. I ain't even gonna lie. Ghost them. No contact completely. If you're a child, I know that's a little hard. You can keep it simple, they say. Like, I do know document everything, just in case for the courts, about their behavior if they're coming to visits and stuff like that, because you might need that in the long run. They might not be toxic now, but if they don't change, it doesn't get any better, it gets worse. That's just a fact. So I was going to say, y'all don't deserve that. You deserve love. And if nobody gives it to you, you love you then. So have a good day. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and make another one with tarot.